Go on, ladies and gents in Cyberland, coming back to you with another gameplay review, and this time we are on to Ratchet and Clank, the original. So, originally I played Ratchet and Clank back on the PS2, back in I think when it first came out. It was something different, but I didn't really remember much of it because it was like over 20 years ago. So I finally decided that I was going to come back to the game after all these years and play it and give my thoughts on it. First off, the game was a blast. I had a good time playing it. There wasn't anything, well, I wouldn't say it wasn't totally anything I didn't like. I just felt like the atmospheres, like the places you go, some of it was lacking a little bit, but it wasn't terrible or anything. There was just some places that were better than others, and overall it was an entertaining game. I can say that much. So basically the game is about Clank lands on Ratchet's planet and he needs his help. They don't know each other, but Ratchet's willing to help him out, and then they just kind of set off to an adventure, and that's pretty much how the game goes. For the most part, there was a couple areas where I had some hiccups where I was getting killed and stuff, but that's with any type of game. When you haven't played in so long, you know you're gonna get clipped, and there was a couple times where I was really getting killed. But for the most part, the game was pretty straightforward. Unfortunately, some of the weapons were cool, but a lot of the weapons I didn't use. I kind of determined there was just certain things I needed, and the rest of the stuff was just kind of like, I don't need that, I don't need that, I don't need that, I don't need that. The gameplay, I give it a 10. The gameplay was excellent. The story was great. I thoroughly enjoyed the story. I give it a 9 out of 10. The audio was a 9 out of 10. There were certain parts where it didn't feel like it maybe could have been, the music could have been a little better, but it was really quirky, but not my favorite. The visual and art direction was excellent. Overall, how the graphics would look and then how the areas would look, it was something different. It was something different, and it was something that was extremely fun, that I didn't have any issues with playing. The performance, it did lag a little bit at certain spots, but not too much. It wasn't too bad, but there was a couple times where it was glitching a little bit, and I do remember when I originally played on PS2, it had some of those sometimes. The innovation, the performance, I give a 9 out of 10 because there were sometimes it was glitching a little bit. The innovation, the design, I would give it a 10 out of 10, and that was because before this game, I hadn't played anything really like it that was so open, and the story was just something different. Normally I was always used to like Super Mario, Final Fantasy, Resident Evil, Mega Man, or Kingdom Hearts. So this was something a little bit more light-hearted, but not too off the wall. And overall, it was basically like just you're blowing stuff up, you're destroying stuff and breaking stuff and shooting stuff and getting shot at, and it was a blast. I really had a good time doing that. And as you can see, like the puzzle right here, had a bunch of those. They weren't too bad. And then the missions and stuff that you had to do, you know, the if you didn't finish something, you could always go back. It wasn't like once you did something, that was it. You couldn't go any, like you had to continue to go further. You can never backpedal. So I did like that. Because there were some parts in the game that if you didn't have certain items, you couldn't go further, or you couldn't get certain things until you went further in the game, or until you got certain equipment. So that was fine. I didn't really have a problem with that. The replay value, definitely a 10 out of 10. And the reason why I say that is because there's a lot of stuff that you can still do. You can still get money. You can still get the final weapon. There are parts of the game that if you didn't do, you can go back and do at any point. You can keep replaying the game and going through the levels and blowing stuff up and destroying things. And honestly, if you don't complete every single place, there's always going to be something you're going to find that maybe you didn't do before. So the replay value was great on this. I mean, I didn't personally do it. I kind of made sure I wanted to do everything on the first run, and then that's it. I was done. But I do know if you didn't complete everything, that you would have things for replay value. So that was cool. My overall score for the game, because it's not a perfect game, but it's almost there, I give it a 95 or a 9.6 out of 10. I round it up. I believe it was Insomniac who did this game. They knew what they were doing, and they were innovative, and they were great with coming up with something different than what was going on at the time. And for this game to have come out in 2002 and to play it again 20 something years later, and it was fun. It wasn't a drag. I had a great time. And then even here, at one point you think you're just gonna play it, like that's why they call Ratchet and Clank. At one point you think you're just gonna play as Ratchet, and then you start playing as Clank too, and he had some fun things about him, like these little guys that you can use to attack and beat up on stuff and stuff. It was great. Like, I really thought that was cool, because I would use these guys to do some serious damage. I would say if you're somebody who likes to do classic platformers or you're into action adventure, this would be a game that you want to play, because it's not for everybody. Some people like to play only specific games, but this game really gives you, it's kind of giving you something for everybody, and that was cool. And it doesn't take itself too seriously. It's very and the narratives that happen, they don't drag. They're not like long movies like what we've been used to. So maybe like with Mass Effect, the recent Grand Theft Auto, even Metal Gear Solid, or another game I recently played, like God of War. Even God of War had some long cutscenes at times, but it's not ridiculous. It's just there are moments that it has some cutscenes, but the cutscenes are here and there, and they're and normally when you do have a cutscene, it's gonna be like normally in the game. It's not gonna be a movie or anything. Also, this right here, before I finish this up, this took a little while to get used to, like switching stuff in and the quick select and stuff. It wasn't bad, but it could be a little daunting. With that being said, I will catch you guys on the next one. Take care.